Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Live, and as we know, the sport of Formula One has been in the headlines for the right and wrong reasons this week. To bring some context to some of these events, we've roped in Formula One analysts Lufefe, Mayekiso, as well as Sasha, Martinengo. A very good morning to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. And Sasha, I want to start this conversation with you. The F1 bid committee in South Africa, knowing now that there has been a party that has been nominated, let's speak to the importance of this if we are to have a Formula One race eventually in South Africa.
Yeah, good morning to both Lufefe and Vusiwe. Great to be with you. I think this is very, very important news. Somebody has been chosen as a promoter. Now it's a question of, I suppose, sourcing the funding, sourcing the sponsors, and then, of course, going to the FIA and say, yes, we are ready with it. I'm sure Motorsport South Africa are very, very involved in this bidding process as well. And hopefully Minister Gayton McKenzie is instrumental in ensuring that South Africa gets a Grand Prix, hopefully as soon as 2027.
Indeed, and I suppose it was such an important thing for all the bidders to put up the 10 million to see that they can actually back it up. But Lufefe, we're still in the midst of celebrating this nomination, and then boom, Red Bull, Christian Horner is gone. He has his wings clipped by the Red Bull parents. Let's speak to where the surprise was for you. Is it the fact that he was fired, or is it the fact of the timing of him being let loose midweek, mid-season?
Good morning, Vusiwe, to you and your viewers, and thank you for having me. Morning, Sasha, as well. Yeah, you know, I'm surprised, but I'm not shocked. I mean, if you look at Red Bull based on performance alone, over the last 2 seasons, I would say they've regressed, and it's been Max Verstappen who's kept them in the hunt, and that's how he ended up winning the championship last season, because in the second half of the season, I think he only won 1 race in Brazil for the longest time. So I think it's been coming, and the fact that he's the only driver bringing in the points, because almost all their constructors' points have been collected by him. So that's not a sustainable strategy. So based on performance alone, I think Christian Horner lost the support of the camp that was on his side within the Red Bull team, because Red Bull GmbH is the one who calls the shots, but it is a privately owned business between 2 families, and the other family has controlling stake, the Thai family, which is the ones that now he's lost the support of.
Indeed. And Sasha, let's talk to the consequences of letting a Horner go. We've seen Red Bull pulling in some good Formula One people in the likes of Alan as well as Laurent. What do you make of the people that they're bringing in on board, and how do you see it working out for this Red Bull team moving forward?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I think it is quite shocking news that that Christian has been left in the middle of the season. We could just debate it for hours and hours. I think Laurent Mayekiso is top class. He was with Ferrari, went to Racing Bulls, has done a great job there, and Alan Permain will go to Racing Bulls, and Laurent Mayekiso will take over Red Bull Racing. But, you know, we mustn't forget that Christian Horner has started at Red Bull and has brought them 8 World Drivers' Championships and 6 Constructors' Championships. So, you know, don't discount Christian Horner. What has happened is purely happened for specific reasons, and I suppose there are a few elements we could look at. It could be the families that have sat there and said no. It could be the discussions between Mercedes and Max Verstappen, and there was maybe a choice that needed to be made. We either keep Max or we lose Horner. There are loads of scenarios, but you know, Red Bull is a massive organization. Yes, they're having a tough season, but all teams go through their cycles. And you know, hopefully they've got enough very key people within that team and that organization to continue going forward, and of course still being challenges in the future. Whether or not they still have Max Verstappen, that's going to be the $100 million question.
That is the $100 million question. But I want to delve into something that Sasha mentions, Lufefe. In terms of Horner being seen as a divisive force, it still seems though as there's a Thai side as well as an Austrian side, and you've also slightly touched on this. Does this then signal the end of the problems?
I don't know, hey? I mean, is Horner the only problem, so to speak, within the team? I mean, I feel as though at Red Bull they have sort of missed the trick by letting the tail wag the dog, because Max is their driver, but it feels like he's calling a lot of the shots within that team. And that's not sustainable in any structure where you have, for instance, Kylian Mbappe, who was running the shots at PSG. As soon as he left, they've become so successful. So I'm very worried about what's going to happen from here on. Yes, Lauren Mayekiso has got the credentials, started with Minardi as far back as 2001, I think. But he hasn't shown that grit as a team principal. I agree that he has done well at V-Cup, but that's a low-pressure job. And, you know, I mean, Red Bull is right at the front, in the forefront, in the limelight. So it's a totally different prospect. So I'm interested to see which way they'll go.
Indeed. And Sasha, just before we wrap up and run out of time, I do want to get your thoughts on what we saw out at the British Grand Prix. Some people were watching and saying Oscar probably may feel that he's not quite supported in the team at the moment, with the whole situation happening with the penalty and a possible appeal and then no appeal. What do you make of what happened with the McLaren team in that British Grand Prix?
First of all, I think, you know, precedent had to be set. I felt sorry for Oscar for getting the penalty, but we had seen George Russell do it in a couple of races earlier in the season. It's unacceptable. The precedent has now been set. So I felt for Oscar. Lando is British. He's always going to get the support of the British team. McLaren, regardless that Zak Brown is American and runs the team. But I think going forward, we are in for an incredible scrap between Oscar and Lando, and to take a brave person to choose who's going to actually land up being number one. But also, regardless of what's happened at Red Bull, don't discount Max Verstappen yet.
Oh, we're not discounting anyone. We have unfortunately run out of time.
Really?
I
My days, I wanted to answer that question.
Third place podium finish at the British Grand Prix, because that was a surprise for a lot of people. But Sasha, thank you so much for joining us, and also massive thank you to Lufefe Mayekiso of Motozar, just speaking to us in terms of what's been happening in the world of Formula One,